Hello friends, welcome to Daily Current Affairs program of GS Core, where we deal with facts that are in news and concepts involving those facts. And through it, what we do is we learn the skill of solving MCQs. So let us look at topics of the day. The first topic is with respect to living drugs. Then we have Kessler Syndrome, principal purpose test, very important. Ahom Dynasty, one of the longest dynasties reigning in India. Alright, very important. And then we have multiple member constituencies in India, a concept that was executed in the early years of independent India, but later we abandoned it. So let us look at these topics. Let us look at these topics and understand them. So first is living drugs. So what are basically living drugs? So living drugs are when fully functional cells are used to basically treat a disease. Most of the times the disease is cancer, not exclusively but most of the time. ठीक है. Research is also oriented towards cancer if you take into consideration. All right. What it does is, what this particular therapy does is, what this particular immunotherapy, now remember this particular term, immunotherapy. What is immunotherapy? Immunotherapy basically is when you build up the immune system of the body. That is basically immunotherapy, and living drugs are one of the ways in which immunotherapy can be built. Okay. So what basically happens is specific set of cells are created, are basically specific set of cells are collected from patient's body, and they are modified, and they are basically modified for the purpose of attacking cancer cells. All right. Now this is basically reinfusing the cells, no doubt about it. But these cells, as we have seen, first and foremost are modified, and sometimes also genetically modified. So उसके वजह से what happens is focused and vigorous attack on the disease cell is caused. Okay. Also remember one thing, living cells, what they do is they provide strength. They basically provide strength to your T cells. T cells are basically soldiers. They are the frontline soldiers of your immune system. All right. Now once these T cells are modified on the basis of living drugs, what do we see in them? Generation of CAR T cells. All right, that is chimeric antigen. Chimeric antigen receptor T cells. All right, and they are in a way protector of body's immune system. Done. One more thing, guys, I'd like to tell you, and that basically is that living drugs are not something new. using living organisms, living cells, ठीक है, for the purpose of treatment, it is not something new. For example, the oldest method with which living drugs were used was in bloodletting. What is bloodletting? Bloodletting is when you puncture an artery or vein. Artery or vein for the purpose of letting out blood. For the purpose of letting out blood which you consider to be infected. Alright, in this particular technique of bloodletting, we have seen leeches been used. Alright, leeches been used. Also, one method is to cut the artery or the vein, but that is more painful, and that is in that person may succumb to that. But when leeches are used, the proportion of blood being taken out can be controlled. And second thing is, it will not amount to the death of individual. Okay. Now let us consider the question provided to us. Consider the following statements regarding living drugs. They consist of fully functional cells that have been selected and often modified to treat specific disease such as cancer. Absolutely correct. We have seen. Alright. Also, what I have said is, it is not exclusively cancer. Alright. But most of the research is towards cancer. The first statement is correct. The use of leeches for bloodletting is a type of living medicine. Absolutely correct. We have seen that also. CAR T cells are not equivalent to giving, not is important over here, giving a patient living drugs. This is not correct. It is equivalent to giving living drug. Basically, it is a living drug. So first two statements are correct, hence our answer will be B, only two. Next, concept of the day or topic of the day is basically Kessler Syndrome. Alright, देखो, Kessler Syndrome is in news because ISRO basically has declared that is PSLV C58 mission has not left any space derbies. In lower orbit of the Earth. In low Earth orbit. Now, what basically is space derby? Space derby is the leftover parts of space instruments or space apparatus. Alright, now once the rocket is launched, obviously some of the parts of that rocket, okay, what happens to them is they are let go in the space. Okay, and when this basically happens in low Earth orbit, because of first and foremost no friction because of the gravitational pull, what we see is the density of these derbies increases in comparison to their mass. Already the density increases. Also, we have to remember that in space there is basically no obstacle, and hence the velocity with which they move is high, thus causing incidences of accidents with other derbies. Now, if that is so, what basically will happen? It will lead to a mess. Okay. In low Earth orbit, what will basically happen is there will be traffic of derbies which will not allow working satellites to function. satellites to function. What it will do is it will create a scenario where the satellite moving, the live satellite moving, it can dash against the derbies and thus become inoperational and itself get converted into a derby. Alright, so there has been a focus on removing these derbies. Okay, this particular phenomena of space derbies and chaos that will be caused by them, and chaos basically that will be caused by them, it was for the first time discovered by Dr. Donald Kessler in 1978. Hence it is called as the Kessler Syndrome. So world needs to get away from it so that space can be used by everyone. Alright, space can be used by everyone, and more and more space explorations can be carried out. In fact, this area of space, that is low Earth orbit, it is very important for the purpose of satellite communication, telephonic communication. It is also very important for the purpose of knowing weather systems. So Kepler phenomena basically, or Kepler syndrome, my dear friends, basically has to be avoided, and humanity as such needs to move towards accepting Kepler syndrome and fighting it. So let us now look into the question. Which of the following best defines Kepler syndrome? A phenomena where satellites spontaneously burst due to excessive solar radiation. No, this is not correct. A theory proposing that Earth's magnetic field undergoes periodic reversals leading to disruption in satellite communication. Again, no. A scenario in which the density of the object in low Earth orbit is high enough that collisions between the object could cause a cascade of derbies, making space activities and satellite use difficult or impossible for generation, is absolutely correct. This particular statement, option 3, is absolutely correct. Hence our answer will be C. Basically will be C. Alright. Now let us move on to principal purpose test. Now what is principal purpose test? So for understanding principal purpose test, now you have to basically understand something that is double tax avoidance agreement. And also you have to understand something called as a concept called as tax haven. Now what is it all about? So India recently has announced that its tax treaties with Mauritius will be amended. Alright, and what is this tax treaty? This tax treaty basically is double tax avoidance agreement. Alright, what does it do? It prohibits government of a particular country, government of one country, from taxing an entity if the entity is already taxed in another country. Alright, for example, if I have a company in Mauritius, and the tax is paid by the company in Mauritius, and if after payment of the tax the profit is transferred to India, India basically cannot tax this income. The company does not have to pay tax in India. This is what double tax avoidance agreement is. Now with respect to double tax avoidance agreement, now there is nothing wrong in it as such. it will help people to generate money and basically use it for the purpose of creating more money. The problem though arises when one of the countries in the treaties is tax haven. Now what basically is tax haven? Tax haven is where rate of tax is almost nil or almost nil or nil. Okay. These countries basically survive on investments. Again, nothing wrong in it. But these investments, what has been observed is with respect to tax havens, now these investments are based on another phenomena called as round tripping. Now what is round tripping basically? Round tripping is you earn black money in India, you transfer it to Mauritius. All right, in Mauritius you open up a fictitious company. Okay, you show your black money to be profit from the company in Mauritius. You do not pay tax in Mauritius. Why? Because Mauritius is a tax haven. It has almost 0% tax. Okay. So on paper, you are done with your tax proceedings in Mauritius and then you bring that money back to India. Alright, you bring that money back to India. Now this is called as round tripping. Alright, this is called as round tripping. First and foremost, you earn black money in India. Uske baad you transfer it in Mauritius where you invest it in a fictitious company and then show your black money to be profit from that fictitious company. And then bring the money back to India, showing it to be profit in Mauritius. You don't pay tax in Mauritius because in Mauritius the tax rate is almost zero. It is a tax haven, the tax rate is zero. Now, what this double tax avoidance agreement creates is a phenomena where loophole is found by tax evaders. Alright, and hence what will now be done is a principal purpose test will be added, and through this principal purpose test, before giving benefit from tax treaty, it will be looked if the claimant is genuine with respect to, if the claimant is basically genuine with respect to exemptions that are claimed, or is it only for the purpose of avoidance of paying tax, or is it for the purpose of concealing black money. Dekho, if someone makes genuine investment in Mauritius, all right, and if that investment pays off, and if he takes benefit of the double tax avoidance agreement, then there is nothing wrong in it. But it should not be for the purpose of avoiding paying taxes in India, and second, it should not be for the purpose of concealing black money. So a principal purpose test will be applied now. Alright, and if that principal purpose test shows that the claimant is genuine, he can take benefit of the benefits of the tax treaty. Let us now take into consideration the question. Consider the following statement regarding principal purpose tax. It aims to tackle treaty abuse, including treaty shopping. Now this is another important phenomena, treaty shopping. What is treaty shopping? When you basically look into the loopholes of treaty between two countries with respect to tax, and therefore make investment in a particular country so that you can take the benefit of the treaty. This is what treaty shopping is, and I will say that treaty shopping is very important from the point of view of terms in examination, especially prelims examination. Okay? Directly they will give you such a term and they will ask you meaning out of it. Okay, statement 2. The PPT, that is principal purpose tax, lays out condition that the tax benefits under the treaty will not be applicable if it is established that obtaining that duty benefit was the principal purpose of any transaction or arrangement. Absolutely, both the statements are correct. Okay? Both the statements are correct. If the aim was only to defraud the tax authorities, the benefit of the treaty, tax treaty cannot be taken, है ना. So because statement 2 is aimed at, what will happen is statement 1, the aim mentioned in statement 1 will be achieved. Alright, so statement 2 basically is the reason for statement 1. Because statement 2 is present, statement 1 can be achieved. Alright, hence what we will say is A is the right answer. A is the right answer here, as you know, statement 1 and 2 both are correct, and statement 2 correctly explains statement 1. Statement 2 explains what will basically happen. Okay, statement 2 is the process, and if you follow that process, statement 1 will basically happen. So both the statements are related, they are, you know, both the statements are basically correct, and they form a rational relation, cause and effect relation. Done. Moving on to the third topic, and this is with respect to Ahom Dynasty, one of the longest reigning dynasties. And this dynasty is in news because of the Statue of Valor. The Statue of Valor that has been basically inaugurated by Prime Minister in on 9th March basically. Statue of Valor that has been inaugurated by Prime Minister. Okay, whose statue it is? Basically this is statue of an Ahom king, a king from Ahom Dynasty by the name of Lachit Borphukan. Lachit Borphukan. Alright, now what basically do we have to know about the Ahom dynasty with respect to examination? First and foremost, this dynasty was established by a king called as Sukapa. Alright, Sukapa, also known as Swargadev in India. He is also known as Swargadev in India. Now this particular king came from Yunnan province, or today's Yunnan province in China. Alright, and second thing with respect to him is the dynasty that he established survived from 1228 to 1826. Now one of the reasons for this was a reasonably democratic structure in this dynasty. How was it? So basically there were multiple prime ministers, there were multiple patra mantris, and these mantris would appoint a king through concurrence. Alright, appoint a king through concurrence, and if the concurrence was not achieved, the kingdom will be kingless. If the concurrence was not achieved, the kingdom will remain kingless. And there have been periods when the kingdom has been kingless. Alright, with respect to the king that we are interested in today, that is Lachit Borphukan. Now why he is important in Ahom dynasty? His importance lies in the fact that he defeated the Mughals, who had invaded Assam in the year 1671 under the leadership of Ram Singh. So Ram Singh was the Senapati of the Mughal army which attacked Assam, and Mughal army basically was defeated. Okay. The battle which we are talking about is Saraighat, very important from historical point of view. Please remember it, the Battle of Saraighat. All right, chalo. When did the dynasty collapse? The dynasty basically collapsed in 1826. Sorry, it collapsed in 1826 by the Treaty of Yandabo. Through it, British Indian Army what they did is they conquered the territory. Okay, chalo. Now let us look into the question. Consider the following statements. All right, Swarnadev or Sukapa came from China's Yunnan to establish Ahom Dynasty in Assam. Absolutely correct. Lachit Borpukhan led the Battle of Saraighat in 1671 to prevent the Mughal army from occupying Assam. Absolutely correct. The king could be appointed only with concurrence of Patramantris. Yes, concurrence chahiye hi tha. We have looked into that also. The kingdom had no kings when acceptable candidates were not found. Yes, this is also correct. So what do we see? All the statements are correct. Hence our answer will be D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. All right. Now moving to the last topic of the day, and this basically relates to multiple member constituency in India. Now this is something which is in news, and the reason for that is the elections, parliamentary elections. It has been filled. Now the parliamentary elections are on, so there are discussions with respect to various aspects of this election and what will follow, and also something that political scientists desire for. What will follow, and also something that is desired for. Whether it is followed or not, that is a different thing, but something that is desired for. So with time, the political scientists have considered कि the population of electors has increased in every constituency, right? And also what has increased? Political dynamism. It may be the case that a particular voter is inclined towards, say, party A, on one particular issue. In the same way, it is inclined towards party B with respect to another issue, right? It is inclined towards party B with respect to another issue. In that case, the question is whether single candidate should be allowed to represent the whole constituency, right? Also, what we have seen is margin between the winner. Most of the times, margin between winner and the runner-up, the first runner-up in the election is not large. Hence, it cannot be stated that only the winning candidate, a single winning candidate, represents all of the people, or basically has an idea with respect to what people in the constituency want from him. Okay? He alone cannot have an idea, right? Hence, one inclination is towards MMD, that is creating multiple member constituencies. All right, we had that in early independent India. We basically had that particular concept, but the thing was that this particular concept led to complexities. Also, what it led to was mutual jealousies or mutual ego between the members. Now, this basically did not allow welfare. Hence, what we actually thought about is moving to single constituency, where now only one MP, single member constituency, where what we will see is only one particular MP represents the constituency in Lok Sabha. So that is what multiple member constituencies. We have also seen the problems associated with multiple member constituency. Alright, chalo. Consider the following statements regarding multiple member constituencies. The first statement: a multiple member constituency is an electoral district that elects more than one representative to the office. Yes, this is correct. Second statement: India don't have multiple member constituencies after independence. This statement is wrong. We have already looked into it. In fact, this practice was carried out till 1962. After that, it was done away with. So how many statements are correct? Only one statement is correct, and that is A. Alright friends, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of this discussion. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Alright, also what I would want you to do is take assistance of ThinQ created by GS Core. Now what is it? It is basically analytical. It is basically analytical information on important topics of the day. Okay, it will help you in your prelims examination. It will help you in pinpointing your knowledge base towards clearing prelims. It is also important from mains point of view, but I am speaking on the lines of prelims. Okay, focused information in the way in which UPSC needs it. Thank you so much again friends. See you. Bye.